You know how, on sometimes, a single tiny thing may have a profound impact? Alice, that's just what occurred to me, barely 2 weeks before to my engagement celebration. At the age of 27, I was ecstatic to tie the knot with Tom, my 3-year partner. This event had been months in the making and everything was coming together. Then, whoa! My mother canceled the engagement party and gave Alice a call. She gave the phone a growl. I almost dropped my phone. How come? Are you serious, Mom? This is not a joke. We're celebrating Emily's recent promotion on this day of your engagement. 3 years younger than me, Emily has always been my parents' golden child. She is my younger sister. However, this was insane on a whole other level. Mom, come on. This has been long in the making. I'm not calling off because Emily received a commendation at work. Trying not to cry, I said. Be not self-centered, Alice. It's significant for your sister. Different party, same attendees, simply reschedule. My blood began to boil, not in a manner. Mom, I'm engaged to this person. We are discussing. I'm not going to cancel. Story ends here. She began to scream and then her voice was so high I winced. I paid no attention at all. I ended the call. As I sat there gazing at my phone, all of these early recollections flooded back. This was how things were always. I was preceded by Emily. Every time I thought back to my sweet 16. My parents didn't realize until my grandmother called to wish me a happy birthday. They frantically tried to put together a cheap celebration, a gift card and a cake from the grocery shop. How pitiful. Particularly after the 3-day celebration they had organized for Emily's 13th birthday, only a few months prior. At that point, Tom entered. Upon glancing at my visage, he instantly saw a problem. Alice, what's not right? He sat down next to me and asked. I let everything out. The phone call, Mom's requirements, recollections. He paid attention, his expression darkening with each utterance. That is untrue. When I was done, he said, nothing is being canceled. I gave a nod, so appreciative of his help. It's simply, I know. Why are they never able to prioritize me? Only one time, since they are fools, Tom stated firmly. However, I prioritized you. Always. I forced a tiny grin as I glanced up at him. I know. That's why I'm getting married to you, fool. We went over our plans and made sure everything was flawless for the remainder of the night. As I fell into slumber, I made an effort to ignore thoughts about my family. It was my moment, my time. I was determined not to let them ruin it. I was resolved to ignore my mother's bizarre call and concentrate on the party when I woke up the following morning. I was overloaded with tasks. You name it, invites to send, decorations to arrange. My phone rang then. It was Rachel, my cousin. Hello, Alice. How are things going between you and Tom? I heard that you two got apart. Bewildered, I gazed at my phone. Where had she seen that concept? I quickly typed back. How come? Not in a manner. We're all right. That's who told you? Rachel's response appeared. Strange. Your mom told her the engagement was off, Linda added. My stomach fell as hard as a stone. I immediately gave Rachel a call. What is happening? As soon as she picked up, I asked. Alice and Linda called yesterday night. I'm not sure. Your mother allegedly told her that after a heated argument you and Tom canceled their plans. Instead, she suggested that we all attend Emily's promotion party. It was as though I had taken a punch to the gut. Rachel, all of that is untrue. We're still in love. The celebration continues. Mom asked me to back out of Emily's event, but I refused. A pause occurred. Whoa, what a mess. I'm terribly sorry, Alice. I was completely ignorant. I spoke with Rachel on the phone for an hour, trying to piece together what had transpired. It turned out that my mother had canceled my engagement party behind my back. She had contacted all of the relatives listed as attendees, fabricating a bizarre tale of Tom and me splitting up and directing them all to Emily's promotion celebration. In an attempt to relax, I inhaled deeply. I will clean up this mess. Could you please let people know that the engagement is still going strong? Rachel answered without wasting a beat. Of course, I'm going to start making calls now. I hung up the phone and just sat on my couch, trying to process everything. My own mother attempted to ruin my engagement celebration. It was nearly too absurd to be true. An hour later, when Tom came home from work, he discovered me there. Upon glancing at my visage, he instantly saw a problem. I filled him in on everything. Calls from Mom, the lies. With every word, the Emily group redirects. His eyes were growing angrier, and I could see it. And that's it. He answered, we're cutting them off when I finish. Every single one of them. Emily, your parents, the whole family. Even though I knew he was correct, I was afraid to break up contact with my family. Without them, who would I be? Even if I was treated like dirt by them. Even so, they remained my family. First, let's concentrate on fixing this, I stated. Everyone has to be informed that the engagement is still ongoing. Tom gave a nod. His door opened. All right, how should we begin? We sent emails, made calls, and posted on social media for the remainder of the evening while trying to contain the damage. I sent a lengthy note outlining everything to every person on our guest list. Having to keep repeating that no, Tom and I hadn't broken up was tiresome and embarrassing. Indeed, the engagement celebration continued to take place. It was well beyond midnight when we were done. My eyes burned from staring at computers, and my voice hurt from all the talking. We succeeded. Tom hugged me and said that everything will work out. Though I couldn't get rid of the notion that this was only the beginning, I still wanted to believe him. Old scars had been exposed by Mom's betrayal. Every moment I'd been disregarded. Every time Emily had been the most favored. Everything flashed back. I chose to pay Aunt Marge a visit the following day. She's been fairly friendly to me all these years. She's Dad's sister. I reasoned that when I got to her apartment, I should personally invite her to the engagement celebration and clear up any confusion. From the living room, I heard voices. Just as I opened my mouth to say hello, I heard a brief exchange that stopped me cold. It's unbelievable that Alice would act in this way. Marge was expressing that she was upset with her sister and had canceled her own engagement party. How naive. My heart fell. My family was living a brand new life, spoken, in an effort to break up the earlier hoax. Just as I was going to intervene and clarify matters, there was another voice that spoke up. Yes, I am aware of it. Emily must be inconsolable. Alice is attempting to overshadow her after all of her hard work to advance. That voice was one I knew. Sarah, my cousin, was there. Even though I always believed that we were close, there she was, talking behind my back about me. It was more than I could handle. I entered the space. Is that your true opinion of me? The two ladies jumped as if they had seen a ghost. Marge first got better by wearing a false smile. We didn't hear you come in, Alice, my dear. Of course, I replied, my voice. I made a call. It appears that you have already decided what you think of me, even though I came to ask you to my engagement party. Sarah might at least seem to be embarrassed. We didn't mean to save it, Alice. I interrupted her. I want the details of what your mother told you. I listened for the next hour as they revealed Mom's elaborate story. She claims that when I found out about Emily's promotion, I lost it and had her delay her celebration. I apparently canceled my own engagement party out of spite after Emily said no, claiming that I would prefer not to share the spotlight than be married at all. For my family, it was something different, a new life. When they were done, I was trembling with rage. I spoke in a tremulous voice, saying none of that was true. My mother called and insisted that I postpone my engagement party so that Emily could celebrate. She's spreading stories to hurt me since I said no. I shared with them everything, the missed birthdays and the ongoing comparisons. Years of feeling inadequate to begin with. By the time I'd done, the two females were crying. Marge and Alice responded, "Oh," and reached for my hand. We were clueless. We ought to have known better than to take these absurd tales at their value. In an attempt to relax, I inhaled deeply. Hey, thanks for the apology, but I really need your assistance right now. I need you to let people know that the engagement party is still going on. Is that something you can do? Looking relieved to have a chance to put things right, they both nodded enthusiastically. I was upset by my mother's betrayal and confused as I walked out of Marge's house. I felt both a little hopeful and hurt that my family was so quick to assume the worst about me. Part of the truth was out, at least, right now. When the big day finally came, I was a nervous wreck. Tom and I approached the hallway. As we pushed open the doors, I held my breath, ready for whatever mess we would discover within. Whoa, what a hoot! I had eyes I couldn't believe. There was a lively atmosphere around the venue. Grinning, they turned to welcome us, and I had this fuzzy, warm feeling all over me. There were many relatives in the room, faces I hadn't seen in a long time in addition to the ones we'd managed to get to yesterday. I said, "It's unbelievable that you all came." My voice became really raspy. Dad's brother, Uncle Joe, walked up and gave Tom a big pat on the back. Naturally, we made the trip. Were you really expecting this to go wrong? I must admit, though, that the rumors regarding your called-off engagement really got out of control. It appears like they made a major mistake. I felt lighter walking away than I have in weeks. I suppose they did. While Tom and I moved through the throng, we took in all of the congratulations and well wishes. I couldn't help but notice that Emily, her parents, and Mom were all missing. Nor emails nor texts, not even a bitter congratulations. Strangely enough, though, their absence felt more like a relief than a disappointment. Rather, I noticed that I was drawn to Tom's parents, who were genuinely proud and affectionate towards us. His mother gave me a strong hug and whispered, "We're very proud of you, Alice. You're already a member of our household." Just as the celebration was getting underway, there was a disturbance close to the dance floor. I had eyes I couldn't believe. In the center was my 80-year-old grandmother, displaying what she described as an explosive dance from her early years. "You young people, hurry up!" Her eyes glistened with mischief as she shouted out, "Allow me to demonstrate how, in the good old days, we cut rugs." Grandma danced and swayed, moving surprisingly well for her age, and the audience went crazy. The dance floor quickly became the scene of an incredible intergenerational dance-off as more people joined in. I couldn't help but overhear tidbits of chatter about all the family tension that had been building up to today as I mixed with the visitors. What Alice's mother attempted to pull is unbelievable. I overheard cousin Sarah trying to talk her other daughter's work out of her engagement party to another cousin. "It's absurd." The second voice answered, "I know. In that family, poor Alice has always gotten the short end of the stick. I'm relieved that she is now defending her rights, rather than being ashamed or offended by these conversations. For once, I felt validated. My family's dynamics were becoming clear to them, and they began to support me. As the evening wore on, I began to feel genuinely joyous and festive, perhaps for the very first time. Instead of making me feel like a great weight had been lifted off my shoulders, the absence of my immediate relatives made up for all of my worries. My phone rang the day after our epic engagement party, when Tom and I were lounging on the couch and reminiscing the amazing moments of the previous evening. When I realized it was my mother calling against my better judgment, my stomach turned over. I said, "Hello, you nasty, ungrateful girl." Mom's voice came through the speaker in a scream. "Dare you?" She continued to shout angrily, even at arm's length as I held the phone away from my ear. Tom gave me a worrisome look, but I shook my head, saying I would take care of it. "Why don't you do something, Mom?" She interrupted me. "You've made your sister feel ashamed." 3 individuals at most attended her party. 3? And they were merely those elderly, nosy aunts that would appear when an envelope was opened. Trying not to lose my temper, I took a deep breath. "Although I apologize for your disappointment, I understand. Emily is inconsolable. She sobbed the entire night. This was meant to be her chance, and your self-centeredness ruined it. My patience was beginning to wear thin. Mom, I've spent months organizing my engagement celebration." Emily realized that her last-minute promotion party would conflict with my engagement. That is not a justification. First and foremost, family. Alice. You would obviously be ignorant of it, though. She instantly hung up on me after the call before I could answer. A message buzzed across my phone. Emily sent it. "I hope all is well with you. It's all wrecked by you. You will pay for this humiliation, I promise." Tom scowled as I showed him the note. She's got to be kidding. There was silence for the next 2 weeks, and I began to believe that perhaps the storm had passed. However, one afternoon, our door was unexpectedly knocked on. When I opened it, Tom's parents were there, looking concerned. "Whoa, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson. Quite the shock. Is everything in order?" After exchanging glances, Mrs. Thompson began to speak. "Alice, please let us in. We have a conversation that needs to happen." As I led them to the living room, my heart fell. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat as soon as we were all seated. "Alice, we've heard some alarming rumors, though. Discussions have taken place. Mention that you have been unfaithful to Tom." I had a slap-like feeling. "How come? That is absurd. Never would I." "We know, sweetheart," Mrs. Thompson said. "You've been in our lives for years. We seldom give it a second thought." I felt a wave of relief, which was soon followed by fury as I recognized where these stories most likely originated. "It's my sibling." My voice trembling a little, I said, "She vowed to exact revenge on me for spoiling her promotion celebration. These must be lies that she is disseminating." Mr. Thompson gave a somber nod. "That's what we assumed. Instead of letting these rumors go out there, We wanted to speak with you personally. They vowed to dispel any rumors they encountered as they went. I had a confused inner feeling. The Thompsons' belief in me and encouragement warmed my heart. However, I was also enraged at Emily. How could she have been so base? I received a call from Granny a few days following the incident with Tom's parents. Her normally upbeat voice seemed apprehensive. "Alice, my dear." She got going. "I've been informed of the chaos with Emily and your folks. Isn't it time to put the hatchet away?" I let out a sigh, sensing the pressure of her anticipations. "It's not that simple, Grandma. They have truly wounded me." "Yes, sweetie, but they're related. There must be a way to make things right." Her cry was audible to me, and it made me feel something. Despite the absence of support from the rest of my family, Grandma was always there for me. I detested letting her down. "What should I do, in your opinion?" I inquired, anticipating the response already. "Would you mind trying to get in touch? Offer something in exchange for peace. Prove to them that you're willing to make amends." I closed my eyes, struggling to balance my desire for self-defense and my love for my grandmother. I let out a big breath after that. "I'll try for you, Granny, all right?" I was standing on my parents' doorway that evening, heart racing. I could see right away that something wasn't going to work out when I walked in. She spat because Emily was there, her face like thunder. You believe you can just go right in and throw me a sympathy bash?" That was not my original intent, but she interrupted me. "Ellis, I don't need your handouts. Do you believe that atones for your actions? It was supposed to be my party day, not yours." Then, in fact, people would have appeared. The bitterness in her voice astounded me as I glanced at her. "I'm trying to put things right, Emily." "Put things right?" she screamed. "Everything was destroyed by you. It's all about you, as usual." I glanced to my parents for comfort, but all they did was nod in agreement with Emily's outburst. Mom said, "She's right, Alice. You've been so conceited all along." Without saying a word, I felt something crack within of me. I ignored their calls as I turned around and left. I went back to see my granny. She smiled at me, full of optimism. "How went it, my love?" I took out my phone instead of responding. I filmed the exchange. "Mama, I believe that you should hear this." She nodded despite her surprised wide eyes. I pressed play and the recording began, filling the room with Emily's inquisitive voice. Grandma's expression went from one of optimism to astonishment to sad disappointment as I watched. There was a long pause when it ended. Grandma surprised me by reaching out and taking my hand. She said, "Oh, Alice," in a deeply emotional voice. "I really apologize. I didn't realize it was that nasty. I should apologize to you. I was wrong to press you into making amends." My eyes started to water. "It's all right, Mama. You were unaware?" She gave a head shake. "No, that's not acceptable. I ought to have trusted you right away." All I wanted was for our family to be complete. For some while, we sat in quiet as we tried to make sense of what had transpired. Grandma finally spoke once more. "Alice, please, there's something I want you to know. It's not just about blood in a family. It's about support, love, and respect. And that's what Tom and his family give you, from what I've seen and heard. Never allow somebody to guilt trip you into choose your own happiness." My phone started vibrating frantically when I woke up the morning following my heart-to-heart with Granny. My parents sent me a flurry of angry texts. Reading these made me realize that Granny must have told someone about the recording, and my heart fell. "You record our private discussions. How dare you? You're nothing but a cunning, ungrateful snitch," Mom's message cried. Dad's message was not more encouraging. "It's unbelievable that you would go to such far as to surreptitiously record us and play it for your grandmother. Forever you have betrayed this family." Even with evidence of their own horrible behavior, I still felt like I had been hit in the belly. Nevertheless, they managed to paint me as the villain. The final straw was this most recent treachery. I was over my dysfunctional family in the ensuing weeks. I made an effort to concentrate on my job and Tom's life. However, Emily seemed to have other ideas. Her hatred for me reached a new level as she began a full-fledged campaign of harassment. Whispers at work were the first sign. When I entered a room, my colleagues would suddenly become quiet, but as soon as I left, they would begin whispering again. I quickly discovered that Emily had been disseminating false information about me, ranging from labeling me inept to outright lying about my private life. Next came the social media messages posted in anonymity. My posts started receiving hateful comments, each one more offensive than the last. Though I couldn't confirm it was Emily, the substance and tone made me believe it was. But when Emily attempted to get in touch with Tom, her cruelty reached a new low. He returned home one evening, appearing distressed. "Alice, I received an odd call today. It was Emily," he said. "She attempted to accuse you of being unfaithful to me. I had a loss of blood in my face. How come?" "You know that's untrue, Tom." He reassured me right away. "Naturally, I am aware of that." I cut her off immediately. "But this is getting too much, Alice." I nodded, feeling tired and angry at the same time. "I'm aware of it, I just don't know how to stop it." It turned out that I didn't need to take any action. Emily's fixation on getting even began to bite her in the rear. As she began to spend more and more time planning her revenge on me, her work began to suffer. Her strange behavior was noticed by her colleagues. The whispering that never stops. The extended periods she didn't work and instead spent on her phone. Her supervisor soon became aware of this. I discovered via the office gossip that Emily received a formal warning for her deteriorating performance. However, she seemed unaffected by that either. Then, a month or so into her campaign of harassment, the information leaked. Emily was dropped from the team. Nobody failed to see the irony. The exact promotion she had been so anxious to celebrate, the one that had caused this whole unpleasant situation, had vanished. After all, the drama around Emily subsided, and I poured myself into wedding preparation as if it were my job. Finally, we decided on this stunning outside location. Imagine our heroes are this adorable, tiny, nosy person in a magical garden as we stood there planning for our special day. Tom pressed his hand to mine. "Are you content?" he questioned quietly. With a pleasant, fuzzy sensation within, I glanced up at him, more content than I'd ever felt. I truly meant it when I replied. After securing the location, we selected our wedding party. I asked my pals who had supported me through all the chaos, my ride-or-die buddies, to be my bridesmaids. It was fantastic that they all said yes. Next was the list of invitees. While sitting at our dining table, I addressed envelopes to all the friends and family who had supported us over the last few hectic months. I was overcome with thankfulness as I scribbled each name because these people had shown me what true family meant. However, I stopped when I reached the bottom of my list. I had left out 3 names from my writing: Emily, Dad, and Mom. As I gazed at those empty areas, a plethora of emotions swirled within me. That's where Tom discovered me, glued to the page. "Are you all right?" Placing a consoling hand on my shoulder, he asked. Eyes filled with tears, I glanced up at him. "Tom, I doubt I will be able to invite them, following everything that has transpired." He gave a sympathetic nod. "Alice, it's your decision. I'll support you no matter what you decide." I inhaled deeply before setting the pen down. "No," I said in a louder voice than I had anticipated. "Their presence is unwarranted. They haven't showed me the love and support that this day is meant to celebrate." I had a tremendous weight being lifted off my shoulders as I spoke the words. Realizing that severing my links with my toxic family was the best course of action for my future was a bittersweet moment. Yes, there was a great sense of relief along with the sadness. Our wedding day arrived before I really realized how quickly the weeks had passed. I had not felt this kind of calm in years as I stood in front of my bridal room mirror, tinkering with my veil. I could see the expressions of everyone who had supported us as I made my way down the aisle to Tom. My grandmother using a handkerchief to dab at her eyes, Tom's parents smiling with joy. Friends and family who, in spite of all the familial strife, had decided to stand by us. They were my people, the ones who had demonstrated to me what true support and love looked like. As I got to Tom, he clasped my hands in his and we exchanged vows, his love-lightening eyes beaming. This feeling of righteousness descended upon me. I was supposed to be here. Laughter and happiness abound throughout the reception. I came to this major conclusion. There was more to my engagement party all those months ago than merely celebrating our impending nuptials. I had just started a new life that day, a life in which I was the architect of my own happiness rather than an outsider. To our first dance together as husband and wife, as Tom and I say. I felt completely at one with him as I laid my head on his shoulder. It had been a difficult journey. Yes, but it had brought me to this point where I was strong, wise, and truly happy. Tom murmured in my ear, "I love you. I also adore you." I answered, my heart overflowing with emotion. I realized then that no matter what life threw at us, we would overcome it together. And I had never felt more optimistic about the future in my life, not terrified of it. I was eager to jump right in as this was my first start.